underway again, and we'll move to the old Municipal Chambers final approval to proceed and lease. I'm just I'm happy to move this one and seconded by Andrew. So we've got that moved and seconded. So are there any, well, with the report we can take as read, but is there anything that you wanted to add at the beginning of the consideration of this item?
Not really, no. It's just to note that it's around the table and we're ready to go. So based on the decision we received today.
Great. So are there any questions of staff? Yanni.
Can you just tell me what the current rates assessment is on the site, if it was going to be fully used?
We've got a historic one from a couple of years ago when the EOI was undertaken, and it came in at about 90,000 as a best case scenario. But with COVID, that's probably come down. But we haven't had it reassessed. So
what's the process under the approved option 1D, where we agree to a rates remission and we make a contribution? Like, how are we budgeted for that, or how do we come up with an agreement?
Well, the idea was that we would somehow reimburse them for rates paid to go towards maintenance. We can't waive the rates due to rating policies, I believe, so we would have to come up with a way to reimburse them for that amount. So
just so I'm clear, so we give them $10 million plus up to $1 million contingency. 9 plus 1. So it's 9 million plus total, 1.
Total yes, 10 million is the maximum, and as you know from reading the report.
Yeah, and we lease it to them for 49 years and 364 days for no rent or a peppercorn, $1 something.
Yep.
And we pay the rates through some sort of grants process.
We agree a rates remission.
Yeah. And we don't know what that total quantum would be. Based on the proposed use. I mean, I imagine that would be quite significant.
We don't know.
So, and
because the rates assessment will likely change.
It would likely go up, I'd presume, than 90,000 if it was for all the different uses.
It's up to you, Yanni, and council.
Well, no, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, so.
But the building maintenance is taken over by Box 112 for the entire period.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's something we do not have to budget for the entire period.
Right, but...
And this work will be completed in 2 years.
Yes, there's no cost to council for that period.
So just to check then, what's the kind of anticipated maintenance cost per year compared to the rates remission?
We don't have that figure.
Isn't that something we should know?
But the decision's been made to lease it for $1 already. So this report is to get approval to the agreement.
This is the agreement, yes. This is the actual signing of the lease. So,
so
we already approved. So have you gone through the approval that we gave on in 2019? It's completely set out on the front page of the report. And it approves option 1 to enter into negotiations. We are signing off on the lease. That is all we're doing today.
Yeah, so the only point I was trying to get clarity on was that 1D, and just like what the agreement, it says subject to an acceptable agreement on rates remission or a comparable contribution from council to offset the costs around building maintenance. And I was just really just trying to simply understand what the quantum of that agreement is or likely to be. That was it.
So the rent is in 1B, and what you're saying is there an offset that's required in relation to the rates remission as contrasted to the cost of the building maintenance over the period, and of course we wouldn't have repaired it within 2 years because it wasn't on budget for the full repair in 2 years, because $10 million would not cover that cost, would it? No. So that's the question you're asking, and I guess that there is enough information from me in this document to make an assessment as to its value. So,
so wouldn't we?
So therefore, it's a debating issue rather than a question for the staff.
Okay, but just
They have provided the information, and we will go into debate once the questions are complete.
right. So I see under 4, we're approving the general manager to conclude any further negotiations and enter into any additional agreements. Is there a budget envelope that we put in place around the offset for the rates?
I think when the original report was written, the anticipation was that the entire rates would be waived somehow. I think the resolution is worded that way because I'm no expert, but I don't think you can actually remit the rates on that building to a private owner. So it would have to be negotiated as a reimbursement. So they would effectively have to pay council, and then we would pay them back somehow.
Yeah, and all I'm trying to understand from a budget point of view is the process to determine that amount. Will it be an annual plan decision, a long-term plan decision? Is it just a delegation to the general manager? Like, what is the process to assess that quantum and then for us to agree
The decision is to effectively waive the entire rates, but the rates haven't been assessed because the building is not used. So any rateable value wouldn't represent what it will be after all the works have been completed. So it can only be undertaken at that time. So we don't know what the rates will be once the building is up to repair and in full use.
So the building's got to undergo a repair strategy. It's then got to be leased, and we've got to understand the use of that building. We've indicated what that is in the develop and lease agreement and the future use, but it's got to be defined in a period of time as we near the end of the delivery period, which is 2 years from now. So, and at that point, we would look at the rates at that point.
And if it costs more than 10 million to develop, who bears the cost of that? So that all the risk sits with box 112.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Right.
And is written.
Melanie?
So that means effectively that the ratepayer will be paying those rates much as if council owned the building itself, but we're obviously reducing the building, the repair cost is the advantage to us.
Yeah, in essence, yeah.
Right. Okay, so I'll now open it up for debate. Aaron?
Yeah, quite actually happy with this because heritage is it's a part of any city or district's story, and this is a piece of our heritage which is currently looks a little unloved, to be kind, but is still there. The idea of someone ever owning a piece of heritage is a strange one because it'll still be there long after the people from Box 112 have passed on. They won't even be alive. That piece of heritage will still be there. They were just a caretaker for a portion of time. This just happens to be a better deal for the ratepayer because we're not paying the entire bill or running it for the next 50 years. But the heritage stays in our city in a prime spot. And the people of Christchurch get to walk past it and enjoy it and interact with it for the rest of our lives and for the lives of people that aren't even considered being born yet. So it's an easy one to support.
Thank you. James Goff?
Thanks. Look, I totally agree with Aaron, but this has been a long time coming. What I really like about this is that it demonstrates that we don't need to do everything ourselves. And in fact, I think that we're at our best as a council when we don't, because this is a true partnership model and it delivers a great win for the community. With a fabulous historic building being reinstated, you get the outcome, but far less cost and risk to the ratepayer. And the other thing is, we've backed a winner. Box 112 are proven performers from the welder on Wells Street through to the public trust building on Oxford Terrace and everything in between. They've brought life to countless buildings and allowed them to realise their potential. So I think that this is a superb partnership model that we should be doing more of, and I hope everyone supports this.
Jake?
Yeah, just as local councillor, I'll make a quick remark, which is that it's really good to see this move forward, and it's great that we can reactivate the space, and I'm very pleased to see that public space will be built in from the outset. Both these decisions, this item and the next paper, are really about momentum, getting action and confidence back into our CBD. And we've spent a lot of time talking, and now we need to focus more on the doing, and this is that.
Andrew?
Thank you. This decision today represents progress on a building which has been a blot on the landscape in the central city for a long time, in fact for too long. We've had a focus on barrier sites, and this is one of the barrier sites which is actually in council ownership, and we have a responsibility to fix it. It also sits in an area that's seen substantial regeneration and other work going on private sites around there, so all the more reason why we need to be attending to this now as quickly as possible. This was a building that clearly required a different approach, and this is that different approach. It's taken some time to put this together because of the complexity of the agreement that is being entered into, but I'm pleased that we've taken the time to get this right. What we actually end up with as a result of this approval today is a building which is restored and repaired, Box 112 obviously taking that redevelopment risk, a building that's got a use, and we all know how important it is for these heritage buildings that they do have a use, a saving to council on the capital investment for the repair, a saving to council on the ongoing OPEX, and the building in fact remaining in public ownership despite the private sector involvement in its restoration and bringing it back into use. As James has quite rightly said, Box 112 have got the track record and the credentials to do this. Their commitment to restoration of heritage in our city has been significant. Public Trust Building, the Old Midland Club, the Muse Hotel on Manchester Street, the Welder, and now the New City Hotel as well. So a good track record, and I think we can have a high level of confidence in their ability to deliver. So this approval today represents a significant point of progress on this building. I look forward to seeing the work starting in the near future, and even more, I look forward to seeing the building brought back into use and occupying its rightful place as an anchor for that part of the city.
Yanni?
Thank you. Yeah, first off, I want to say that I have no issue with Box 112 or the kind of general concept that we're applying here, but I do think that we do lack the information to make a decision today. The fact is that if you look at the report under financial implications, we're told that the cost to implement is capped at $10 million, $9 million plus $1 million contingency. We're told maintenance ongoing costs none, and yet in the agreement that we've got up there, we're told that we're being expected under building maintenance for the lease duration, which is nearly 50 years, we have to have an agreement on a rates remission or a comparable contribution from council to offset such costs, with no details about the financial implications of that. So I don't think it's fair to say that there's none in terms of the maintenance ongoing cost. There is actually quite a significant cost that we don't know, and we don't have that information today. So I won't be supporting this today because I think we do actually need more information. But fundamentally, I think when we do these types of agreements, we should be looking at an ability, if these things work well, and these companies or these trusts make profit off these heritage buildings that we own, that there's some way in which that money comes back to help us deal with the magnitude of the situation that we faced post-earthquake, where we've got a huge number of our own heritage buildings and other priorities that we need to fund. And, you know, I wish this project well, and I hope it's successful, but this on the surface looks like a hugely costly deal to the council without the financial realities of the situation that we're in. And I would have thought we should have been trying to have a lot greater certainty on the financial implications before we agree to such a deal.
Sam?
Yeah, thank you. And I sort of do sympathise with Yanni a wee bit on it, but I mean, let's be very, very clear. We're chipping in at maximum $10 million. We have 17.5 on budget already. So there's a $7.5 million capital saving, which even if you extrapolate out over the life of the 50-year lease, is 140 grand a year. That puts aside the fact we don't have to do anything with it for the next 50 years. No staff time, no anything, and we can balance the maintenance with it as well. So it's a really good deal for the city. I mean, my only plea would be that we should look for other buildings around that we can do the same thing for. The public continue to own this. We don't have to chip in a cent effectively because of that offset. So I think we should get on and do it and send a signal of progress to the city.
I'd like to wrap up the debate then simply by saying that nothing could make me happier, that this is my Christmas present, and I'd like to thank staff for working so hard to achieve it. I remember when originally I asked if this was possible, and at the time it took considerable leadership within the organisation to say yes, this could be done. It is a model. We'll get expressions of interest. The first round of expressions of interest didn't achieve the result. The second round did, and we signed off on this. Since that time, since 2019, the Box 112 have been through a process which received the council's vision for the building in terms of repair and future use. Box 112 developed a concept design that was to be approved by staff before any detailed design was progressed. The concept design was subsequently approved. We looked at the sensitivity, sympathy to the building's heritage status. It's just awesome, the incredible work that staff put in. And also Box 112 on their side, they know that the risk sits with them. They know that they're taking it on, and they're taking it on as a project for the city. It isn't for their private benefit, it's for the city's benefit. They are experts in heritage. They've done an amazing job in the other buildings that they've tackled, and I really look forward to seeing the work that they're going to do on the new City Hotel, which is down in the South City area. It's just, you know, it's such a beautiful building that I dream of what that will look like. I do think we should look at other opportunities for us to partner with experts in their field, and in this particular area they've already proved themselves to be that. So I'd like to say thank you for the best Christmas present that I could ever hope for. I do hope that it's the signal of things to come in the future. It does give us a very strong and powerful way forward into the rest of the 21st century. So I will put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. And an abstention from Yanni. Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, the next item on the agenda